Within the glittering heart of Lagos, a city pulsating with ambition and the stark realities of immense fortune, resides Zahara Adeyemi, the solitary heiress to a vast oil empire. Her life, a meticulously arranged sequence of luxury and duty, is a silent drama played out against a backdrop of opulence. This narrative will delve into the unspoken complexities of her existence, where family bonds are tested, betrayals lurk beneath polished surfaces, and a journey of self-discovery unfolds without a single spoken word. Prepare for a captivating visual odyssey where the immense power of a billionaire father casts a long shadow, and the billionaire's daughter navigates a world of unspoken expectations, her inner turmoil reflected in the lavish, yet lonely, landscapes of her life. The grand entrance of the Adeyemi estate on Banana Island stood illuminated, a beacon of immense wealth against the darkening Lagos sky. Inside, the vast living room, adorned with priceless art and gleaming marble, felt cavernous. Chief Adeyemi, a figure of formidable presence, gestured with a dismissive sweep of his hand towards a stack of documents on the polished table. His expression was stern, unyielding. Zahara, impeccably dressed in a tailored silk gown, observed him from across the room. Her posture was erect, her gaze steady, yet a subtle tension in her shoulders betrayed her inner resistance. She approached the table slowly, her hand hovering over the documents. A portrait of a young, smiling man, Emeka, stood prominently on a nearby console. The chief's intent was clear, unmistakable. An alliance, a merger of empires, a marriage. Zahara's jawline tightened, a tremor barely perceptible in her fingers as she finally touched the papers. The weight of her father's expectations and the entire Adeyemi legacy pressed down on her with a suffocating force. She simply turned and walked away, her back to the powerful, silent, rich man. The air crackled with the unspoken clash of wills, a dramatic opening to a life dictated by others. Days melted into weeks, a gilded blur of obligations. Zahara moved through her world like a phantom, her presence a silent rebellion against the preordained path. She sat through elaborate dinners, the clinking of cutlery and hushed conversations, forming a monotonous backdrop to her internal struggle. Emeka Okoro, her intended, occupied the seat opposite her at these gatherings. He exuded an air of self-satisfaction. His glances at Zahara were possessive and expectant. She met his gaze with a blank stare, a shield against his unspoken claims. One afternoon, seeking escape from the suffocating grandeur of the estate, Zahara ventured into the vibrant, unscripted chaos of the mainland markets. She shed her designer clothes for simple attire, her face devoid of makeup. The cacophony of voices, the vibrant colors, the rich aromas of spices and street food. It was a world away from her silent prison. She wandered, a solitary figure, amidst the throng. A sudden, torrential downpour sent people scattering. Zahara found refuge under the overhang of a small, brightly painted art studio. Inside, a young man, his dreadlocks pulled back from a concentrated face, worked on a large canvas. His hands, stained with paint, moved with fluid grace, bringing to life a vibrant street scene. He looked up, a fleeting, gentle smile acknowledging her presence before returning to his work. The air in the studio was thick with the scent of oil paint and raw creativity, a stark contrast to the sterile perfection of her own home. Zahara stood mesmerized, not by the art itself, but by the quiet, unburdened passion emanating from the artist. Zahara found herself drawn back to the small art studio. Her visits became her secret sanctuary, a stolen slice of authenticity in a life built on artifice. She would simply sit, observing Connell as he painted, sometimes sketching in a small notebook, sometimes just existing in the quiet hum of artistic creation. He never questioned her presence, never intruded, simply offering her a silent understanding. He saw her, not as the billionaire's daughter, but as a quiet woman who appreciated beauty. During one such visit, a framed newspaper clipping lay on Connell's workbench. It featured a large, glossy photo of Chief Adeyemi, proclaiming the imminent merger of the Adeyemi and Okoro empires, solidified by the marriage of their children. Zahara's photograph, small and formal, was subtly visible beside her father's. Connell's eyes, soft and artistic, now held a flicker of surprise and a shadow of hurt. He looked from the newspaper to Zahara, a question unspoken in his gaze. Zahara met his eyes, a profound sadness clouding her own. She simply nodded, a silent confirmation of the truth she had kept hidden. She pointed to the date on the article. The wedding was just days away. Connell averted his gaze, his hand instinctively going to his canvas, but his brush remained still. The easy, unburdened atmosphere between them had shattered. He glanced at her again, a silent plea for understanding, but then a deeper resignation settled on his features. He subtly gestured towards the door, his message clear. Their worlds, briefly intertwined, could not truly meet. Zahara stood, her heart heavy, the unspoken farewell echoing louder than any words. She walked out of the studio, leaving behind the only place she had felt truly free. The grand ballroom glittered, a dazzling display of wealth and influence. Thousands of tiny lights reflected off the polished surfaces, illuminating an assembly of Lagos's most powerful families. Zahara, a vision in an exquisitely embroidered wedding gown, stood beside her rich man father, Chief Adeyemi, at the threshold of the aisle. His face, usually a mask of control, was now alight with pride, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. This was his triumph, his legacy solidified. She moved forward, a slow, deliberate procession, the heavy fabric of her dress a physical manifestation of the burden she carried. Emeka waited at the altar, a confident smirk adorning his face, his eyes fixed on his prize. Zahara's gaze, however, was fixed on her father. She saw the years of expectation, the sacrifices he had made for his empire, the future he envisioned for her. But she also saw the cage, the gilded bars of his ambition. As she reached the altar, standing just feet from Emeka, a sudden, powerful clarity washed over her. She paused, her eyes sweeping over the vast, expectant crowd, then landing on her father. She took a deep, silent breath, and slowly, deliberately, she removed the delicate veil from her head. Her actions were measured, each movement a silent declaration. She unclasped the diamond necklace, a family heirloom, placing it gently into her father's hand. Chief Adeyemi's smile faltered, replaced by a look of bewildered fury. He reached for her, a silent command in his grip. Zahara gently pulled her hand away. Her eyes, filled with a quiet strength, conveyed a message of defiance and self-determination that needed no words. She turned, her back to the stunned groom and the furious billionaire father, and walked away. No words were exchanged, no dramatic pronouncements made. Only the rustle of her dress, the soft click of her heels on the marble floor, and the collective gasp of the silent, bewildered assembly filled the enormous hall. She simply walked out, leaving behind the suffocating grandeur, stepping into an uncertain but undeniably free future. Following Zahara's courageous act of defiance, the story of the billionaire's daughter has just begun. Her bold choice to abandon a life of immense wealth for a chance at true freedom has set her on an uncertain path. Will she thrive in a world that operates without the safety net of her father's fortune? How will her relationship with the artist, Connell, evolve amidst this newfound independence? Catch the full journey of Zahara's self-discovery and a surprising new chapter in her life. Watch out for Part 2 and see how Zahara navigates a world she's never known and builds a legacy of her own, one that isn't measured in money, but in passion and purpose.